Hi everyone, welcome back to Jenny on a Jenny Talk Show. This is a show where we discuss matters on social issues that cut across the socioeconomic status and they affect all of us. As I promised, we'll be bringing very informative content, and today I have a guest, a social worker like me. We're going to explore a lot of matters surrounding the social work department. I'm going to allow him to introduce himself, and I'm going to pick it from there. Karibu sana. Introduce yourself to my viewers, tell them who you are, what you do, and then you proceed.
Hello, my name is Michael Waweru. You can call me Mike, but Jenny calls me Samuel, and I'm okay with that. I am a social work leader. What that means is that I have committed myself to ensure that social workers have an environment and resources that enable them to do what they do, which is very awesome. So whether they are social workers working with children, with the elderly, working in children's home, working, let's say, in hospitals and in military, police, every area where social workers are working, my commitment is to ensure that they have an environment that does that. So how I do that is, currently I'm working with the Association of Social Work Educators in Kenya. I have worked with Kenya National Association of Social Workers, and I'm also the secretary for the Social Work Act that will be coming up. It's in the second reading. Yes, I like, my favorite fruit is mango with chili. Mm-hmm. My favorite food is rice and beans. Mm-hmm. I have two amazing sisters and very wonderful friends, so it's exciting to be here, and I'm sure we'll have a very good discussion.
Yeah. Karibu sana. I'm just wondering. Yeah, it's true. I've always been calling you Samuel. When did I pick Samuel from? I do not know.
Our first interaction was in 2018.
Yeah.
In 2018, we were planning for the World Social Work Day conference.
Yes.
And you called asking if you can bring your children to the march that you are having.
Yeah.
So from there, I think Samuel just happened, and I allow you to call me Samuel.
Yeah, actually, you've never told me, come on, Daddy, I'm not Samuel. Me, I'm always here. Samuel, nice to meet you. Karibu sana. Okay, all right. Okay, karibu sana, Michael. I'll be very now. Okay, let's discuss on matters. Who is a social worker first? People do not know who a social worker is. One time I told someone I'm a social worker. They said, wow, you like socializing? I'm like, no.
Yeah, the other things people ask is, are you the people who sweep the streets?
Oh my goodness.
Are you the people who wash children in children's home?
What?
There are very many myths and misconceptions. Actually, in the US, social workers are known as the people who take away children from their parents.
What?
So for them now it's that huge. For us, it's the misunderstanding of who social workers are. But basically, social workers are trained professionals.
Yes.
Who actually have a passion to help society and do not just end at having a passion. They go to school to study, to understand the problems that people have.
Yes, true.
Why are they having those problems, and what can we do about those problems? So social workers work at every stage of human development, whether it's a parent who is expectant, a social worker can work with that parent.
Yes.
Once the child is born, let's say for example, and the child, let's say for example, the child has some disability. Social worker can link that parent to services and resources that will help that child. Yeah. When, let's say, it's in a hospital setting and they are unable to meet their bill, you'll find someone called a medical social worker.
Yes.
who will help the family raise some resources, as well as negotiate for them to get some waiver for the medical bill. And throughout the life of that child, let's say in school, you'll find a school social worker.
That's true.
Who is looking at how well is the child performing, how well are they learning, interacting with their peers, what are their problems, and if there are problems, then they can act as a counselor, an advisor, and talk to parents on behalf of the child, and also ensure that they talk to the school on behalf of the child to ensure, let's say, if there are inadequate books, if there's classrooms are squeezed, if there's no security, it's social workers who advocate for that child.
Okay.
Then you can find that now that child has become a teenager. They are dealing with issues about puberty, adolescence. A social worker can act as a guidance and counselor because they understand the stages of development. And now that child has grown and they are getting into a career. They want to know what to pursue. A social worker is trained and very well equipped to understand, to do assessments on the strength of that person, their talents, and advise them on the possible career choices that they can do. And for example, let's say that child comes from a family that they cannot afford to pay fees. Social workers mobilize resources to provide sponsorships and scholarships and to link them to other organizations that can help. So throughout life, even at death, when someone has aged, social workers take care of the elderly, and at death, they also help that person to, let's say, exit well. Let's say in terms of, do they have a will? How can they prepare a will? Is there family conflicts, dynamics that needs to be resolved? So social worker is someone that is with you throughout your life, and actually everyone needs a social worker.
So you've all heard, we don't sweep street, we don't wash babies in children's home, but we are found in the lives of a child since from when she or he is in the womb all the way until old age. That is a social worker to you. And I'm very happy today to have a fellow social worker who has got wealth of experience, and we're going to be exploring more about that. Now, I'm again about to call you Samuel now. Now, Michael, how did you become a social worker in the first place? Did you always know that you're going to be a social worker, or the circumstances lead you to being a social worker?
Growing up, I wanted to become a robber.
A robber? Douche. Tell me about that.
When I came to know myself, that I was in Mathare. And in Mathare, there were no other professionals or good examples you do. And the people who looked good, they would dress nice, and they would have the best girls in the slum. But the thieves, they would wear a good jacket, nice shoes. They were the clean ones. So that was, I had an ambition for life. I wanted to make something out of my life, but that was the only example that I had. So yes, throughout my primary school, I studied very hard because I also despised these normal thieves, the one that will snatch a woman's handbag
or a wig,
scarf. They looked petty for me. So I studied very hard to know how to read and to write, so that I could drop banks.
Oh my goodness.
But it was more than that. I really wanted to do that so that I can come back in Mathare and make life better for the people I saw. Fortunately, in class 7, I transferred from Kiboro Primary to Bora Primary in Westlands. That was culture shock for me because for the first time, I could see kids that were clean from Monday to Friday.
And were not robbers.
They were clean, and every child had a desk.
Oh my goodness.
And their shoes were polished. So coming from that school to another school, it was very different for me. But fortunately, in class 7, I came across a teacher, our teacher, Mr. Njenga. He's also called Wajane, who shared his personal story of struggle and how he was able to overcome and go to to school and study.
Yeah.
So that shifted my mentality. I saw that, there's a better example.
Yeah.
So from there, then I wanted to become a police officer. Police officer to kill robbers who are
now you've turned against.
Yes, who are harassing people. And I think I would also have killed some police officer because police harassed people. They harassed us a lot.
Okay.
As well as corrupt police.
Okay.
So that was my dream going to Form 1. Then I can remember in Form 1 I went to Nyandaro High School. In Form 1, the first class of chemistry, the teacher, before the class, he just asked people what they want to do when they grow up. Wow, it was the first time I was hearing some professions. Chiropractor, neurosurgeon, aeronautical engineer. For me, I just said I do not know what I want because I felt ashamed of what I wanted to become when everyone was just mentioning doctors,
big titles.
So, but now Form 1, Form 2, it was police. So, lucky for me, I went to a good high school that will invite speakers and people who had different experiences that will share their life. So slowly by slowly, my idea of life expanded. And something very good happened. I had a crush with someone. Our school was mixed, high school. So I had a crush with someone. Now, there was a problem. Kwa list ya performance, the list of performance, we had around 5 papers. There are 4 streams. So if you arrange someone, if you arrange by list, there are around 4
papers, of them.
Yes.
Okay.
So when results were out, they usually were posted on the notice board. So when I went to look at my performance, I just
started from below.
Yes.
The 4th page.
Yes. But for my crush, she was
always
top 3.
At the top.
Top 3.
Okay.
Now, the good thing about her, she never judged me.
Okay.
And at the same time, she was willing to teach me on what she does. So I realized that she was not naturally talented or naturally smart.
Okay.
She really studied hard. So that when I was looking forward for 9 p.m. to go to bed, she'll go back to the dorm and study until midnight.
Wow.
When I'm waiting for weekends to just go to the field and play, she had a circle of around 3-4 friends. They'll go to the chemistry or physics lab and study. When I'm waiting to go to the library at night just to hang out with friends and
make noise.
They are really studying. So I borrowed most of those. Now I changed my learning habits and they paid off. So how did I come about social work? So by the time I was completing, I wanted to become a lawyer. A lawyer because so that I could advocate and defend the rights of people. So when we were filling out the courses, I had picked accounts. I have interest in business, law, and social work. I had no idea what social work was. So results came, and I found that I have been called to study social work at Moi University. So I had a phone that I could go to internet and study. So when I looked at what social work is, I found that it embodies everything that I've always wanted to do. I might not be a robber, but I could look for resources and still help the people that I wanted to do in a legal way. I could write proposals, I could work with NGOs and raise those resources. I might not be a police officer to defend, but I can advocate for, I can mobilize, I can do community action and protect the people who I still wanted to do. I might not be a lawyer,
Yeah.
but we can inform bills, we can create those policies like now the social work bill.
Yeah.
So social work was the perfect profession.
Wow.
So that's how I ended up becoming a social worker.
That's a very interesting story. From wanting to be a robber to being a police officer, now to turn against the robbers and kill them, to being a lawyer, finally.
The perfect profession. Yes.
Does social work pay? Because there are many social workers out there. I always get some text messages and they think that they have a big ambition.
Yes.
Yeah. Does it pay?
It has the potential to pay.
Yeah, it's true.
Because at the end of the day, you are dealing with problems that people face.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as you are solving problems,
Mm-hmm.
you should be able to get paid or to make a living.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
in our Kenyan context,
Mm-hmm.
social work is misunderstood.
Mm-hmm.
And it is not valued as much.
It's true.
So it does not necessarily pay as it should be.
Yeah.
So there are few pathways
Mm-hmm.
that can pay. For example,
Yeah.
like someone can run a successful CBO.
Yes.
They can run a successful NGO.
Yes.
They can do for-profit business.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some of the models. At the same time,
Mm-hmm.
there are few spaces
Mm-hmm.
that social workers are recognized.
Mm-hmm.
It's continuously expanding,
Mm-hmm.
but now we have medical social workers
Mm-hmm.
who are recognized as medical social workers
yeah.
and are paid to do medical social work.
Yeah.
We have educators
Yeah.
who are trained as social workers and can teach on social work.
Yeah.
But then there are very many other spaces,
Mm-hmm.
like school.
Yeah.
We need school social workers
workers,
who
yeah.
can be employed by government
Yeah.
and create those
True.
opportunities.
True.
There is military social work.
Mm-hmm.
There is working with the elderly.
Yeah.
So there are those spaces
Mm-hmm.
that social workers can work in
Yeah.
and get paid.
Paid.
But because of the environment that you live in, those spaces are not occupied by social workers.
That's true.
And that's why it's a bit fragile.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time,
Mm-hmm.
I think social workers should not live out their talents
It's true.
or abilities.
It's true.
They should marry social work, what they have been trained to do, with their natural talents, abilities and passions,
Yeah.
and find creative ways to practice. At the end of the day, it's a helping profession.
Yeah, it's true.
And the basics of social work are three. If you are to lay social work on a foundation, it's based on three elements.
Yeah.
There is the theory part of it. There are specific theories that inform social work
That's true.
practice. There are models.
Yeah.
Models, the step-by-step process that is helping you solve a problem.
Yeah.
And now there's theory, models, and now there are skills, specific skills that a social worker has.
Should have, yeah.
Other people can do what they think is social work,
Yeah.
but when you are trained as a social worker, you have specific skills
Yeah.
that you can do, whether it's interviewing a client, whether it's doing follow-up, whether
Yeah.
it's assessment.
Yeah.
So social workers, for us, social workers need to really be creative in how they go about. Other than that, it is not very profitable. That's why most of us prefer to go to other countries and practice social.
Can I say also the social worker should know their value?
Yes.
Because you interview a social worker and they say, your salary expectations, I can take anything. No. What is anything? Come on. Even in prayers, you need to be very specific. You want to go to bless you with a car, you're going to say, I'm praying for a car. Now, when you come for a job interview and say, I can take any...
Yeah, you undervalue
You undervalue yourself. You undervalue yourself. Also, in social work, what I've seen that is very limiting is the experience.
Yes.
With the experience, and many social workers do not want to volunteer as they gain experience. Because it will surprise you, I volunteered for a long time, more than 5 years. By the time I got my first paying job, close to 5 years of hands-on experience. And I was not paid even a coin for the 5 years. And when you tell people that, they think I just woke up one day and got myself here. It's a journey of tears, a journey of hard work, a journey of never giving up.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is the story of social work.
Yeah.
Actually, social workers should operate like entrepreneurs.
That's true.
They should have that mindset of an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And we had a conference at Masai Mara from 25th to 27th. And there are very distinguishing attributes I noticed between social workers of Kenya and those of South Africa. Social work in South Africa is very progressive, and I could see why.
Yeah.
Their standard, their level of practice and their expectation is so high.
Yeah.
It's so high.
Yeah, because I'm a social worker, but if you can't reach, kama ufiki bei, I'll tell you, honestly, I can't. And then I don't offer my services for free, by the way.
Which is right.
I don't offer my service. You consult, you're going to pay consultation fee. Because I've spent money to gain the knowledge. I've spent years gaining experience. Why would I give it for free? You also need to be very creative social workers.
Yeah.
Don't give your knowledge for free.
And I think that is a problem with how social work started. And specifically for a context as Kenya, if social work was to be practiced as it should, there will be a lot of conflict between social workers and other professionals and some government departments, because social workers stand up for the rights of the marginalized.
Imagine.
And when you do that, it means that you'll have to advocate. It means that you'll have to very persist.
Yeah.
And so I think it is systematically and strategically done to ensure that social workers do not have that space. It's not just in Kenya.
Yeah.
I think it's global.
It's global. Eh?
Yeah. But at the same time, social workers do not just force things.
Yeah.
We are very democratic. We reason out in the way that we do things.
Yeah.
Actually, even as we look for assistance from, let's say, a government department or an officer, we are also finding ways of how can we help them with their service. How can we collaborate? How can we it's not just take.
Yeah.
It's how do we find win-win situations.
Okay. Yeah.
But yes, social work and social workers really need to think. We have made some progress, but we still have a long way to go. If the Act of Parliaments comes into place, then that establishes social work on a legal basis.
Yeah. And actually, Michael, social workers should be very well paid.
They do a lot.
Because they do emotionally, physically,
they do a lot of good work.
A lot of work.
But again,
yeah.
the nature of life is that a footballer will be paid millions, but a doctor will have to strike to
it's
get
true.
paid.
It's very true. Yeah.
So, another. Let me not do specific example, but there are people who really do a lot to make life better and to move things and to ensure that the well-being of people, whether it's teachers, doctors, social workers, but even engineers, they are paid very less compared to what is of high value. People do not value.
It's true.
So if people do not value, then the market will not reward.
It's true.
So we also need to value what needs to be valued.
Yeah, it's true. And also social workers don't take anything that comes along. The other day, I was chatting with a social worker who told me she's being paid 8,000 shillings. I asked her for, we are also demeaning the profession, because people feel like anybody can be a social worker. And someone tells you even a graduate dropout can do social work.
And that
but there are values and ethics
yes.
of social workers. Yeah.
And that is the practice of many organizations. That is what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we cannot fault them. It is what has been. So the question is what do we need to do? What do we need? And some of the things that we need to do is, as we introduce ourselves, can introduce ourselves with social work.
Yeah.
Let us own up the profession.
It's true.
So there were three major challenges we noticed while working at the association. Number one, recognition.
Okay.
Social work is not recognized.
It's true.
And there's a lot of value in branding and marketing.
Yeah.
People place a certain amount of value with that.
Yeah.
So that needs to improve. Whether, I don't know, it's billboards, whether it's t-shirts, whether it's merchandise, whether it's events, whatever needs to be done, social workers need to put themselves out there so that people know them and what they do.
Yeah.
So that even as you introduce yourself, someone already has an idea of who you are and what you do, and they do not have misconceptions.
Yeah.
Number two, the coming together. The membership bodies for social workers needs to be strengthened so that number is very important. It is very important. It was important during the crafting of the bill.
Yeah.
You asked how many are you?
Yeah.
Those numbers matter.
Matters.
So the moment we have strong associations and people come together as social workers, and you can say we are 10,000 or 20,000 and 50,000, that also has an impact. And lastly, just having activities and events to the communities. Let people feel what you do professionally so that they can distinguish between a trained social worker and someone
trained social worker. Now, welcome back to the second segment. In the second segment, we're going to be talking about institutionalizing of children. Okay, Michael, let's talk about that. Are you for or against institutions?
It is circumstantial. There are circumstances whereby placing a child in institution is the best for that child.
Yeah.
And then there are circumstances whereby it's best for that child to be
in a family. Okay.
Now, when we are looking at such a scenario, we are looking at who is a healthy human being.
Yeah.
What makes a healthy person? And there are different elements. For an individual, there is me.
Yeah.
There is us.
Yeah.
There is the world.
Yeah.
And there is the creativity. For me, or for that child, they have to be in an environment whereby they can learn who they are, understand how to use their bodies, their senses, whether it's hearing, whether it's sight, all the touch, all those senses need to develop.
Yeah.
So that as they develop, that person will know who they are, what their place is, they are able to communicate their feelings, they are able to make choices for themselves. Then there is the us, how someone can relate with others. Are they able to make friends? Are they able to empathize? Can they listen to others? Can they allow others to be themselves? Can they create an environment whereby it's not just about themselves,
it's about also the others?
Yes, the others. And then in the world, individuals make families make communities make societies, nations, and the world. And now in the context of the world, who is that person in the context of the world? What are their rights? Do they have the freedom to be themselves, or are they forced to be someone or something? Do they have that freedom to identify themselves as they wish? Whether it's a straight person or a gay person, whether you believe in God or you do not believe. In the context of the world, do you have that freedom to be yourself? And can you allow others to be themselves? And now then in the creative space, can you think critically about the problems that you face? Yes. So when you look at that, then we can look at the growing up of that person. There are challenges of growing up in an institution, and those challenges can be cognition. Actually, scans show that depending on the child's growing in the institution, their brain is smaller than the normal brain. So that also affects.
That means that they are never around to like explore the world.
Yes.
They are just limited to a specific space.
Yes. And actually, a study was done whereby different children were brought in a room, and in that room they were given some boxes to play with. So based on how that child interacts with that with those boxes, you will be able to know what child experiences neglect or has trauma. For a healthy child, when you give them that, they will play with the boxes. You'll get into a room, whether if you are the parent, you'll get into a room, they'll just look at you, maybe they'll hug you, and then they just go back to playing. Because that's how they are learning the world. For a person who is traumatized or is facing neglect, they will find difficulty in playing with the box because their highest need is human connection.
Oh my goodness.
So if you get into a room, they want to stick with you. They
to cling on you.
They will not even want to play. They will want to cling on you. That is a moderate. For the extreme, when they are in a room with those boxes, they will be so anxious. They will breathe very heavily, and if you come in the room, you can it frightens that child. So they can neither connect nor play. So when you look at those dynamics and you look at the circumstances under which children grow up in institutions where staff are undertrained or they are not even trained, they are understaffed.
And it's good to mention this. Actually, most of them are understaffed and they are not trained.
Yes.
Let's just be honest. Most of the institutions, if they are, very minimal.
So if you are not trained, you will not even understand the language of a child. There, at different age and development of a child, there are specific needs for that child.
That's true.
There is a stage whereby that child just needs a human connection. They want to be touched. That's why it's important to, let's say, to breastfeed a child, or even just to give them food through the bottle when that option of breastfeeding is not there. But that human connection is very important. It affects how that person ends up as an adult, whether they will trust someone or they will not trust someone, whether they will form meaningful relationships or they will not.
Let me mention this. You're trying to say that is where trust and mistrust comes in.
Yes.
Thank you.
So people as adults, we find ourselves trying to get into relationships, and people show up in relationships very differently, and we are not even aware that our childhood has a lot to do with how we show up. There are people who have trust issues. They have not chosen to have those trust issues, but to some extent has something to do with how they grew up. So when you look at the capacity of the people in the institution to nurture those children, even to provide food. Getting food is not just about getting food. It's also about what nutrition is in the food.
The nutrition very important.
So when you look at in the context of most of our institutions, we do not have trained personnel. The ratio of the trained personnel to the number of children is also high.
Yeah.
There are things of you get frustrated, you are stressed, you end up even harming the child, physical abuse, all those things. So that person who has grown in such an institution has a difficult time when they grow up. So when you look at that cognitively, emotionally, also physically, they are beaten. Some are broken, and you find that those are the impacts that affect someone into their adulthood. Now, when you look at that, then institutionalization does not become a good thing. However, there are organizations that have come up with a family kind of model.
That's true.
Whereby in every unit there is a father and a mother and a limited number of children. Let's say 10 children. In that context, then to some extent, it's possible to have a relatively better environment. Now the question of whether institutions are good or bad is, are children's better at home? So if we are answering the question of are children's better at home, we'll be asking, does that child has a connection to their parents?
I agree with you, because somehow we can't get rid of institutions. They must be there, but also they must be monitored.
Yes.
And we should only have institutions that are genuinely taking care of children. Because we have so many institutions right now in Kenya, and most of them are putting kids there as business.
Yes.
There's no exit, it's only inlet, there's no exit. And then now the children get to undert, there's no exit plan. You are just left like kufunzwa na ulimwengu. You have no connection with your background. The institution cannot hold you anymore, so you are left in a very bad state.
Yeah, that's very true. And there's a huge number of people who are homeless and adults, and a good number are people who were in institutions, but they aged out.
Oh my goodness.
Either they reached the age of 18 or 21. Or they were taken by an institution. Yes, they went through primary and secondary, but then there is no plan for exit. So that you are leaving someone to go out without a support system of family or friends, because their whole lives they have known
the institution,
a certain environment. Again, the question of are homes better than institutions is to look at what are the needs of children, and are those needs best met in institutions or at home. There are cases whereby it is better to have a child in the institution rather than at home.
It's true.
And also there are cases whereby actually it's better to have children at home rather than institution. But again, do we all have the capacity to become parents? Exactly.
We are not all wired to become parent. I agree with you. And for me, I always say, if you say a child that you know you can't give them the right environment where they feel safe, where they feel loved, you do not owe anyone any reason to go out there and give birth.
Yes.
You do not have to do that. You do not have to prove to the community that yes, I'm fertile, yes, I can give birth, I want to prevent children. You do not owe anybody anything to bring a child in this earth that you cannot take care of. It's not worth it. Because if you look at the street children, most of these children have families.
Yes.
But the environment in the family is toxic. And they can never go back there. Again, that is where now the institutions come in. But when they come in, the institutions to be capable to be able to make the environment at home friendly in preparation for the child exit. Because for sure, institutions cannot hold a child for long.
Yes.
They're going to start bringing up grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
Yeah. So, some countries are trying different models where there's now the family care system, where children are being returned to their families, and if not to families, to relatives. But again, help is provided to those families.
To the families.
To those families, so that a child is taken care of while they are at home in their family. And now by extent, also helping the family. Now the problem becomes in terms of resources. It's easier to take care of a child in an institution rather than at a home setup, because if it's at a home setup and you need to provide food, you can't just provide food for that child.
Yes,
you'll have to provide for the whole family. And you can't just help one child. If there are more than one, you'll have also to think about
the rest.
Because if you do not do that now, sibling rivalry, then you create another problem. Yeah.
But again, there's this organization. There's an organization that I'll not mention the name because I'm not advertising, unless they pay me to advertise. They do reintegration, and it's very successful.
Yes.
Entry of the child in an institution, there should be a child care plan.
Yes.
Whereby it is stipulated the needs of a child, how the needs going to be met. How are you preparing the child for exit? How are you preparing for the family for exit? And by that time the child comes in an institution, now the organization starts preparing the family.
Yes.
Some of them have been rehabilitated if they have been addicts.
Yes.
The IGI, the income generating activities, have been set up, and within the first 3 years, the child is successfully taken back to the society.
That's the best way to go about it.
Yeah.
And it needs professionals. Now, for our organizations in Kenya, they do not have the capacity, or rather they do not want to employ qualified professionals.
Thank you. Yes.
And at the same time, it's business. And for a business, let's say of a children's home, the poorer your children look, the more profitable you are. The more malnourished they look. Like, the more problems you have,
the more money comes in.
So it's in the best interest of the directors and those people to ensure
the
that
founders,
those problems are there. If you get to a point whereby the children look better, you replace them.
My goodness. But these are very.
So on the question of institutionalization, there are very strong cases for institutionalization.
Yes, true.
Because at the moment, we can look at the number of dysfunctional families that are there. And children, while at home, they are abused. They undergo, let's say, practices that are not for their best interest, like, let's say, FGM. Some are denied opportunities to go to school. They are given tasks. We have child-headed families. There's circumstances children are put in while at home that is not to their best interest. So in that case, there should be an alternative whereby those children can be in an environment that allows them to be children, to learn and to grow and to be nurtured. At the same time, the future of our families is changing rapidly.
It's true.
At the moment, a case study of a family now is we have, let's say, two youths who have married or are cohabiting, and they have a child. both of them are working. So the mother will work, will have, let's say, how long is the maternity leave? Is it
3 months?
3 months. We have paternity leave also. That's good.
Days.
But now, after that, they'll have to go back to work.
Yeah.
When they go back to work, they'll have to get someone to help
To take care of their baby.
The house help. Now the house help is either Uganda, does not even know
Swahili.
Yes.
Yeah.
Less educated or uneducated, underage, or it's just someone who is looking for work. They do not have the capacity or the training to nurture a child, whether it's helping them with homework, bathing them, spending time with them, just providing that environment that a child needs. And it will happen for the second child. So the father leaves early, very early in the morning, comes back very late at night. So the only time maybe they'll see each other is on a Sunday, and on a Sunday it's not bowling, it's let's go out, what do you want, and come back. So while children might grow at home, you'll find that they are not better off than those in the institution.
It's true.
So they might grow up with the same problems, and it's worse knowing that you had parents and they did not do that, rather than knowing you did not have.
Yeah, it's true. I agree with you. The future of the family is blurred.
Yeah, good.
It's blurred, and that's why I always advocate. We are not cut from the same cloth.
So yes, and that is just one example.
Yeah.
Other examples are more with time. People will just do co-parenting. We will not get married. Watu wengine kama sisi ni wa contract.
You want to engage someone on contract basis. If it expires,
we consider whether it's renew or not. And then we will have families with a man and a child, a woman and a child. We'll have grandfather, father, child.
And then now God gonna come and you remember the city of Sodom. Now that's where now we're gonna be destroyed.
And again, now technology makes it even worse.
It's true.
Because if you are not able to create those human connection, and now you are spending most of their time with technology, we have not even seen depression. We have not even seen mental health issues.
By the way, that's another topic altogether.
We have not.
It's frightening.
It is.
The level of mental well-being of people is escalating every day.
And it will keep increasing because the mental health of a person begins at the family level.
It's true.
If the family is disorganized, if you are unable to make friends, the friends that you only have are the ones at school,
or even on social media.
And then the robots will come. The levels of unemployment are high.
Oh my goodness.
Jobs will become less and less.
But
Food will become more scarce.
Michael, people need also to be creative. Don't look at the white collar jobs. Can you be creative enough to create jobs also?
Yes. Yeah. The children, our children, the ones that are in school now, the ones undergoing CBC, are very lucky. They are very very lucky because focus is now being removed from performance, the number of grades, but what are your natural abilities? So that group will have it much better than us. They will not have. They will have the freedom to be creative, and they will have the tools and resources to do all that.
But we when I was in primary, primary we had the same opportunities at and craft, music, science. You see, they were there for me.
And they helped.
The issue of CBC, I'm telling you, is another story altogether.
It will get better.
Really?
It will get better. It will get better.
Personally, I feel bad because all my children are CBC.
So, what feels bad? Is it the time that you have to spend with them? The weird things you have to buy?
You see, there are skills that they must be instilled in a child.
Yes.
Like knitting, someone must know how. That's the way I look at it. Huh? Cooking, you need to have. There are life skills that you need to have. Now, I'm not happy with CBC.
Why?
It's too expensive, it's too involving. We did these things, we did art and craft and music, but it was not as hectic as it is right now. For me, it's draining.
Living is expensive.
It's draining CBC. I don't like it.
It's part of having children.
Yeah.
It's the expense that comes with.
But personally, I feel CBC is wasting our children.
It is not. It is not. I think it might be because a lot of also time and effort is shifted to parents. Before CBC, it was you and the teacher. You and the teacher. Nowadays, parents have responsibilities also.
Now
they are held accountable.
It's the time of the children to be in school. You had your time as a parent to be in school. And I should spend time with my children, teaching them how to cook.
You will.
You see, it's not CBC to tell me you need to cook mandazi. These are life skills.
One of the arguments of teachers was parents are absconding their duties. So that teachers are now also parents. They are doing both the work of the parents. CBC is good.
It's good.
Maybe with time, it will get cheaper and it will get better. It will get better. Is it 1 year?
No, it's not 1 year. It's around 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
It's still young.
Okay, finally, we leave the CBC alone. What's the future of social work in Kenya?
The future of social work in Kenya is promising.
Okay, it's true.
It's promising because the Act of Parliament is coming in. Once what the Act of Parliament will do is it will establish social work under law. Okay. There will be an Act of Parliament for social work. Other professionals are well respected. Because there is a law, whether it's the engineers, whether it's the human resources, whether it's the teachers. So once that is placed, the value also increases. At the same time, now on the implementation of the same, social workers should be required to have practicing license. And with practicing license, progressively what will happen is specialization will become a thing. Whereby if your area is school, you'll be licensed to do school social work
only.
Yes, because there is specific knowledge, competency, and skills just for that.
In any particular department.
Yes, and the more you become specialized, the more you are good at what you do, and your value increases. So you'll find there are different specialization, and a lot of specializations will come. There are things to do with AI, there are things to do with the environment. All those social workers will be on all those spaces. Also, it will create more employment opportunities because now it will be easier to negotiate for spaces. To say social workers need to be in this space because this is what we do, and because there is a legal framework behind it, then government can hire and departments, and look at it this way now. If people who are practicing require a license, it means that the people who are practicing who are not necessarily trained as social workers will have to maybe acquire training to get licensed, and that means there will be spaces for social workers. And another element is private practice. There is an element in the bill that will allow social workers to set up private firms.
Wow.
So that you can set up a private firm, offer your services at a fee, and be paid for that.
Okay.
So that you find if you open up a firm for social worker, you are also able to employ, let's say, 5 or 10, and you can specialize with children, any category.
Wow.
So because of that one reason, then a lot is progressing. At the same time, I think we still have challenges with our professional bodies for social workers, but there are those also that are really trying to ensure that there are activities, there is information dissemination, and from the conference that we just had, there are a lot of action plans that are coming in that will once implemented, they will improve the landscape. One of the activities is actually currently we are working on. The concept is already there. We will be doing county capacity building for social workers. So we might start with Laikipia, Nyahururu, then we'll have Kakamega, we have Garissa and Rift Valley. Those are the current ones. So in these settings is to orient social workers or to update social workers on what is the current practice, what is the new knowledge, so that we build their capacity. And at the same time, we really want to advocate for them in the organization. You know, the moment you are leaving as a social worker to go to a workshop, to go at training for social work, a lot of value is added to your organization, and the organization respects you more. They are able to add you more responsibilities, and that also equals to, let's say, increase in income. So yes, there are such things that we are doing that will increase the value of social work.
Wow.
But again, we are not even 10% of what we can do as social workers. But what social workers now need to do is to change the mentality that social work is services only for the poor.
Yeah, it's true.
Social work is services for humans,
for human
people,
being, yeah.
Whether it's middle class, high class, or the poor.
That's true.
So that needs to change. At the same time, social workers should be very comfortable charging for their services.
Yeah, that is very important.
All other professions are also helping. Doctors are helping. Lawyers are also helping. But they charge. Once you charge, you are also able to get resources to facilitate yourself, to invest in technology and other things that are needed. So we need to be comfortable. Social workers are people with good heart.
Yeah, it's true.
They just want to help. They do not even want to charge. But now that also works to their advantage. So we need to also be comfortable, because at the end of the day, we offer exemplary services.
True.
We do what no other profession does.
It's true.
When a social worker works with the client, they do not just look at that problem. They also look at what other contributions. How is the environment affecting this person? So yes, we need to also do that.
Yeah. Social workers, we've had a very productive discussion. Don't be shy to charge. If an organization cannot offer you what you are worth, please don't even waste your time, because it's us who are lowering the...
Yes.
Yeah, it's us who are lowering the standards of social work. Your parting shot.
My parting shot. If something needs to be done, do it. If something needs to be said, say it. If a problem needs to be thought through, think it. Do not pass on the problem. Own it and do your best. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching this program. Asante sana kwa kuja. I hope this is just the beginning of the conversation. We'll keep the conversation rolling. Keep on subscribing, share the link with your friends, and let's engage on the comment section. From me and Michael, Bye.
Bye.
Nilikuita somewhere.